The following presentation is brought to you by Discovery Education, leading the world of digital and video learning. Discovery Education, connect to a world of learning.
Two years ago, as a freshman, Kate tried out for the soccer team and caught the eye of a senior on the boys' team.
He saw me at tryouts, and then we started talking, and he just became like a good friend of mine.
But the guy, Brett, wanted to be more than friends.
And I was kind of like no at first because I'd always heard the rumors about, a senior wanting to date a freshman.
Everyone has heard those rumors.
They can push them to whatever they want to do, like sex or whatever they want, drugs, alcohol.
When younger girls are dating older boys, they're going to be more exposed to those risky behaviors and may not have the coping skills to say no at that point in time.
Being with older kids who might drink or have sex, that didn't change how Kate saw herself.
I've always been around that kind of thing, but that doesn't mean I've ever had to do it. The whole peer pressure thing really hasn't affected me much, and he never pushed me to do anything that I didn't want to do. And I've dated guys who have tried to push me to do things that I didn't want to do, but Brett wasn't like that.
The question is, what do you do when someone does try to pressure you? It's in magazines.
Yeah, see, this is trash.
It's on TV. It's all around us. The media makes it look like everyone is having sex. But are they really? Most teens think that the number of sexually active teens is high. In fact, the number of teens having sex is steadily going down. It's now the lowest it's been in years. Still, kids say they feel pressure to have sex. And it's not just the girls.
It's all about popularity. It's all about belonging. It's just like one big competition, one big scoreboard.
All your friends, if they ask you, oh, have you done it with her yet? And you say no, that can make them think less of you.
But is that really a good reason to have sex? A good reason to take risks? Because you can't stand by your own decision and say no? Because you're not strong enough to follow through with what you know is right.
After all, if you can't say no, then in effect you can't really say yes either. If the only response you have to any behavior is, yes, I automatically have to engage in it, then that behavior is not voluntary at all. It's simply, it becomes a reflexive response, and it means nothing.
And apparently more and more boys are thinking for themselves and saying no to sex.
The attitude is starting to become, it's not really a big deal. And I don't really care if my buddies are talking about it and this person's bragging about it. It's really not as much of a big deal because you can get STDs or you can get someone pregnant.
Not wanting to be a teenage father or to get a disease? Who would argue with you if you told them that's why you didn't want to have sex?
And I'm not going to be like these guys. They're saying, oh, sex is good for pleasure and all that. And then when they mess up with a baby,
Young men are paying attention, and they know their friends or buddies or brothers or cousins who have children or who have contracted STDs, and they're aware, and they're starting to pay attention a little bit more than in the past.
And so more guys, like Jess, are learning to say no.
And I just was astonished, and I was like, no, she wasn't the right person for me to lose my virginity with.
And more girls are saying the same thing. And when they say it this clearly, guys listen.
I don't feel like I'm ready, and I don't feel like I am in any kind of relationship with someone that I can have sex with. Like right now, I'm not ready.
I don't want to get pregnant. Yeah, I'm only 16.
You don't want to mess up your life with AIDS.
Why? Why take the risk?
18-year-olds Zach and Chelsea have been going out for 4 years. And they decided long ago that the risks were too great.
If I had to worry about, getting pregnant, or what if I got pregnant right now, that would completely
change everything that I've ever dreamed and hoped.
Even without a baby, the emotions that go along with a sexual relationship are complicated. And life in high school is complicated enough already.
You have school, you have friends, and struggles, and that's just adding something else that you don't need to add. It's hard enough as it is.
So Zach and Chelsea focus on the easier parts of a relationship. The fun, the jokes, just being together.
Our relationship means a lot more when we know that it's not based on physical aspects.
It's nice that, you know, our relationship isn't based on physical, because that's, we don't have to rely on that. We kind of come to terms with, you know, who we really are. It's not disguised by the sexual feeling, I guess, that you get, or the intimacy physically.
Zach and Chelsea are able to talk about their feelings and establish boundaries for their physical relationship.
We kind of sat down together and we discussed it, and you know, we tried to decide, you know, how far is too far in our relationship, just so that we don't overstep any boundaries. Oh, nice. Sometimes we are alone, or we're watching a movie, or so it's a lot easier if we both made the commitment that we can help each other, you know, say, no, we're not going to do this, or
keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
It's big.
They're also accountable to other kids at school. They're seniors in a group called Teen Advisors who talk to younger kids about abstinence and staying away from alcohol and drugs.
We just kind of talk about the things that we've learned so far just because we've had more experience, and just encourage them that there are people out there that aren't having sex and aren't doing drugs, and it's okay if you're not dating, you know. I mean, it's fine if you are, but if you're not, it's not a big deal.
They both say that having made their decision well known helps them to stick by it, because they want to continue setting a good example.
We even have parents come up to us and say, you know, you don't know it, but my kid really looks up to you. And just remember that, you know. So that's definitely something that encourages us.
One of the key pieces of advice Chelsea tells other kids:
I can say it's hard. It's not easy, I know from experience, to stay strong, because you get all caught up and you're not thinking straight. That's why it's important to make that decision before you're in that situation. But I can honestly say it's hard, but you can do it.
And Zach says there's certain situations that kids can avoid if they think they'll be tempted.
Sometimes you can help being in situations. You know, obviously, you're not gonna, you know, all of a sudden make out and have sex, you know, when your family's in the same room, or when you're with your friends. Door. So, you know, doing things with other people really helps. Not having to get into that situation. If we never discussed it, or if we never knew, we were never honest with each other, I'm sure things would be a lot different, you know, today. But I guess we communicated well.
But they both know when it comes right down to it, it's an individual decision and an individual responsibility.
It's your choice. Just be aware of what the consequences are if you do decide to have sex. If you can't handle them, it's best not to have sex at all.
Kyle learned that lesson 2 years ago. Kyle told her diary and her best friend Laura that she was in love.
I love his mouth. He has the most beautiful lips.
She loved everything about him. So, 2 months after they started going out, they had sex. She thought she was ready.
I wanted to just wait until I was with someone where I wouldn't look back and go, oh.
But it didn't work out the way she'd planned. Not long after they first had sex, their relationship crumbled. And even though it was her decision to end it, she was still devastated. For teenagers, even for some adults, it is easy to confuse sexual desire with love, but they aren't the same. It's a mistake a lot of kids make.
I really, really want to be accepted and loved and cherished, and I think they often mistake the pleasure that comes from the sexuality with the actual feeling of safety and being wanted and loved and cherished.
Not only wanting to be loved, but wanting to feel mature, feel grown up. And some kids think sex is the way to accomplish that.
we all want to be more mature and we all want to be seen as older and cooler, especially when you're an adolescent, but it doesn't. I think it's a really immature decision to decide to lose your virginity to make someone else happy.
But now she's 2 years older and a whole lot wiser.
I'm a lot more intelligent when it comes to like relationship choices now. I think I am I? Yes. Okay.
So many kids have learned from past experience and have made a conscious decision not to repeat their mistakes. They know that just because you've had sex once doesn't mean you can't say no later.
For those kids who have had sex and they see the negative outcomes and the negative effects it's had, I mean, just because they do that doesn't mean that it's too late to stop. I wish that more girls could understand the power that they have over their bodies to say no if they feel that they're not ready for it. I think that if you make a wrong decision, then you go back and you say, okay, well, look, where do I want my life to go? And make the choices that will make it go where you want it to go.
I started dating around 14. From there, I dated around 30 by the time I was 15, and then I'm 16 right now, so I really don't know. I just lost count. There were so many of them.
Angel was popular. He had a lot of girlfriends. He was the guy every boy wanted to be. He says, in time, he started to question the rules. He started thinking about what he was doing and why.
I kind of felt, what is the point? Am I just doing this because I want to be, like popular and stuff?
He started to understand that having sex just to be cool wasn't for him or the girls.
It's going to end up, like every single relationship in high school, it's going to end up the same way, and someone's going to get hurt. And I want to find someone. Eventually, somewhere down the road, I will find that one person. I will find that one person I can relate to, I can live with, I can, share and stuff, not just some casual whoever,
So now he does what he wants, not what other people expect him to do.
There's a lot of women always asking me, are you with anyone? And I just tell them no, but I prefer to be single right now. When I say right now, I mean I want to be single for quite a while.
Not many guys are willing to quit going out with girls altogether, but there are ways to lessen the pressure to have sex and just enjoy time with each other. One is going out in a group.
We didn't have group dates. We didn't do that when I was a kid. And I wish we had. It allows them a transition period into dating individuals. And everybody's safe. Nobody's going to do anything that they might feel uncomfortable doing, be pressured doing, or feel regretful for doing, no matter what it is.
These kids agree.
It's having fun, it's like a bunch of people together and you can just be yourselves and do ridiculous things.
And then if you don't know what to say, are you you want to go home or something, you can get your friends to help you.
And focusing on all the other things going on in your life makes it easier to keep sex in perspective.
If you keep yourself busy and focused on other things, you really won't have to think about sex.
Sports, that keeps me out of trouble.
I go outside and play basketball or something, and then I just keep my eye on that.
And ultimately, everyone has to be strong enough and smart enough to be responsible for themselves.
It's just really, discipline. You gotta have real self-discipline. You gotta just think before you do any kind of actions.
And we're all human. We all have that desire, but I don't think it's a matter of wanting to have sex. It's the commitment that we made to not have sex.
Right now, it's a lot of pressure to teenagers or kids telling them that they need to have sex.
It's hard to say no.
But more teens are saying no because they're thinking about the risks.
I think there is a lot of fear for a lot of young men, and the rise of a lot of other STDs such as syphilis and gonorrhea. You have a lot of young men paying a little more attention to whether they should be sexually active or not.
So you got a goal like I do, trying to do something in your life, you'll step back.
There are so many aspects of it. There's so many different things involved, emotionally and physically, and it can just be so many bad things can result from it. You can get diseases, or you can get pregnant, or you can just get emotionally involved with a person that maybe you shouldn't have gone down that road with to begin with. And I think it's not really worth the risk.
Kate knew the risk wasn't worth it when a new guy asked her out.
The only thing he was interested in was something intimate. You know, he didn't care about my feelings or who I was or even what my middle name was. He just wanted one thing, and I knew.
So she made it perfectly clear to him that she wasn't interested, and he left her alone. When you're in a situation like that, being direct and honest is always a good approach. Kate's new boyfriend respects the fact that she's strong and stands up for herself. And he's interested in her for who she is.
If I go over the summary in the back, does that help on the test? He's smart and he's nice and he's not crazy like some boys, so he's a lot better of a guy than a lot that I've dated, so.
There are certain skills that are required in the course of growing up. You have to learn how to be in a relationship. You have to learn how to manage a relationship, and particularly you have to learn how to manage an intimate relationship. These are not easy things to do.
Not easy at all, but being able to talk freely makes it easier to choose abstinence.
I think when kids make that decision, it shows an incredible amount of maturity on their part. To be thinking that far ahead, to realize that maybe this is not the right time, that they're not in the best mindset, they haven't experienced everything they can, and they're not wise enough to make a good decision. So to wait, and I think it's just a really good decision, and it shows a lot of willpower.
Vanessa didn't have an easy childhood.
You know, I was helping out a lot because my mom was gone. I had to, watch my brother and my sister all the time. And
her mom left when she was 13, so she had a lot of responsibility early on, and she missed out on a lot of the mother-daughter bonding and advice.
I couldn't actually talk to her about things that I needed to talk to. I was growing up. I was, developing into me now, and it's just, she wasn't there, so I didn't know, and I didn't know a lot of stuff that was going on.
She didn't know what a healthy relationship should be like, or what to look for in a boyfriend. So when she met a guy at 17, she thought she'd found the love and affection she needed.
It was just puppy love, I think, at first, and he made me feel good when we first got together. Beginning of the relationship, he was really sweet. He would be romantically involved in the relationship like I wanted to be. He made me feel good, though. I mean, it was just, it was one of those feelings, when we were together, I had butterflies in my stomach.
But those feelings didn't last, and neither did the relationship.
He started kind of being with the girl that he was with before, and that was the last time I saw.
And by that time, it wasn't just Vanessa he was leaving behind.
I wanted to be with him. Through all the rough times we had, maybe we could have worked through it, we could have been a family, he could have been a father to his daughter. But,
So, 18 years old, a high school dropout, Vanessa had to find a place to live, put food on the table, and raise a child.
No.
My aunt, she got pregnant when she was 15, and I remember my dad telling me that story right around the time I was 14 or 15, and I guess I made that my goal, not to have sex when I was in high school, because I didn't want to have to deal with a child or being pregnant.
It's so hard to give that child the proper care it would need, especially since you're probably in school or you're gonna have to go get a job. You're not gonna have enough time to spend, and with the baby.
I have a cousin, and he impregnated a girl when he was 17, I believe, and seeing the hard times he had to go through, he had to put off college for a year so he can work and help support her and whatnot, get certain financial situations straightened out, and it kind of set him back in life.
If you know someone who had a baby young, you might have an idea of how difficult it is. But only teens who have experienced it truly know what the struggle is like.
They see the outside image, and that doesn't look so bad, and so then the risks just don't feel quite as heavy as if they'd seen some of the downsides of that. Teens need to see and hear the whole story.
And everything else, all my interests, all my activities, all my desires and dreams for myself, just from one day to the next, were just done with. And I had to be, all of a sudden, instantly become a mother. It's hard being 16, having no education, hoping that the guy that you're with is gonna stay with you. It's very hard growing up. I'm pretty much growing up with my child. And it's kind of difficult. It's very difficult, actually.
Difficult for a lot of reasons. But what Christine and her boyfriend really worried about was money.
He was making $6 an hour. He was making $6 an hour working construction, and I wasn't working. I had no GED, no high school diploma, pretty much no education. I just came out of the 9th grade. We lived paycheck to paycheck. It was struggling. Every week, it was like, well, what are we going to pay this week? Are we going to be able to pay for the rent? Are we going to be able to pay for diapers? And there is assistance, but it's not enough.
They didn't have enough. They couldn't support themselves. After several years, they split up, and Christine's son went to live with his father.
It is something that upsets me so much right now because I don't even get to see him anymore.
Alone, uneducated, and unable to find a job, Christine had to move back in with her parents. Now she's going back to school for her GED.
I want to be productive. I want to be proud of myself. I want to have something. I want to have accomplishments. This is something that I haven't had in a while.
Staying in school when you have a child isn't easy. Charnette and Amy are determined to do just that, so they'll be able to support themselves and their children.
I knew that I was in for a lot more responsibilities than I already had. And now it's just hard because, like, I have to work and I have to go to school because I know I have to become somebody so that I could support him and myself.
I've always been determined to stay in school no matter what. But it's something that I wanted to do. I want to go to college and further on my education so I can, have a better life for my kids and myself, my family.
But what exactly does that involve? What is life really like when you're in high school with a baby?
He's top priority. My son, I'm always going to be there for him.
I go to school, I go home for a little while, I spend time with him, then I come to work, and then I go home and spend time with him. And the day ends and I start again the next day. Basically, that's my day, my week.
I couldn't get no sleep. Every 2 hours, he was waking up. And I'm thinking I'm gonna be asleep for a little minute. And saying her, I'm like, what is, I was like, every day I look at him, and I be like, I got a baby, I can't believe it, this is my baby.
So I worry too, how it's gonna be when she goes to sleep and, how she's gonna wake up crying, you know what I mean? Constantly worrying about her, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know, I hardly get any rest either.
It's more like a freedom thing with me now because I'm 17 and I want to do a whole bunch of things and I know I can't do everything that I would want to do, and on weekends, my weekend is when I don't work, it's just staying home with the baby because if it's too cold, I can't take him outside. Depending on how the weather is and depending on if he's sick or not, I can't take him outside. So I stay home and I'm just like...
Everywhere I go, I got to get everything ready, so we can go, and it's like there's places where we go and she's all crying, and I don't have warm water for her, so I got to go find a microwave, it's a lot of stuff, It's like being 18 with the baby,
I'm a teenager now, so I do want to go out. I do want to go to the movies and everything, and I see everybody else around me going on. I'm like, I wish I could do that, but I know I can't.
She and so many other teenagers have to put their own fun, their own plans on hold so they can take care of a baby. And even before the baby is born, the responsibility is huge. Teen mothers are much more likely to deliver babies with low birth weights, which can cause a number of problems down the road.
A lot of that had to do with actually entrance as far as starting prenatal care earlier. A lot of times they may not start prenatal care until maybe 7, 8 months down the line. And so we need earlier they start because they get prenatal care early. Nutrition is really essential in that. And getting the care that they need, seeing how the baby develops already, getting their sonograms, and just getting that early care prevents any problems later on.
Renee got prenatal care early on from a special program that matches up pregnant teens with a doula, someone who provides education and support during pregnancy, childbirth, and new motherhood.
The doula will teach the teens nutritional education, go through their pregnancy as far as how the baby is developing, adolescent development too, also how their bodies are developing during this period of time too, and also how the infant is to be taken care of after the baby is born.
If you have a doula, they're there to teach you that everything is going to be all right. They want your baby to be healthy, so they encourage you to go to all your visits, all your prenatal visits. They encourage you to go to the doctor to get checked out, make sure your baby's healthy. They encourage you to eat healthy. They just there to encourage you for the best and the best outcome of you and your baby.
Renee learned about nutrition, proper weight gain, prenatal vitamins, how to handle the pain of labor, and how to care for her new, healthy baby girl.
You're not cold, are you, girl?
She says the support she got made a huge difference in both their lives.
They stay right through you through postpartum. They come through home visits and everything, and it's great.
The more support that a mother has, the better their outcome is, their birth outcome is.
That's true of every mother, but for teens especially.
And if they can't talk to a parent, then come and talk to a professional, a friend, or some mentor that they can really get some guidance and some directions how to go about it and not just feel like they're alone, because there are people out there that care about them.
Vanessa didn't have the support of her boyfriend or her family when she was pregnant. But there are programs all over the country that help young mothers like Vanessa.
Families First Transitional Housing Center is a program for young homeless mothers aged 17 to 26, having one child under age 1 who doesn't have a home and who has some problems with maybe family or boyfriend issues.
It seemed perfect for Vanessa.
You have to choose 1 or 3 tracks, a vocational skills track, a vocational track, a GED track, or a job track.
Vanessa is getting her GED and planning to take college classes.
I did a pre-test to get in, and they said that it would be good.
Okay.
She's getting her education. She has a safe place to live and food for her daughter. But it's a lot of work every day.
Hey, stop.
She's learning what it's like to be an adult, even though she's only 19.
I have changed into being a troublemaker and, you know, on the streets all the time too. Me get my GED.
To see a young lady come in with nothing and then perhaps leaving with a GED, vocational skills, or a job with benefits, it makes me feel real good about what we're doing here. It makes me feel very confident that she can go back out into society and live self-sufficiently and independently.
I'm trying to get my life together in order to take care of her and put her in a good place to live.
The aim of Vanessa's program and of anyone helping teen parents is the same.
Give them self-esteem in terms of making them feel better about themselves, empowering them, giving them the confidence that they need to get back out and say, yes, I've made a mistake, but that doesn't stop life.